All right, everybody, welcome to the I Disagree podcast. You know, I can honestly say the reason why we've named it I Disagree is because it's two words I believe that have not only changed my life, but we all wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't say I disagree. So here's basically what we stand for. In the past 3 years, there has been more disagreements, controversies, opinions, ideas, failed expectations, character reveals, surprises, disappointments, lies, beliefs, assumptions, and bullshit than ever before. Here we go. You guys ready for the first one?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the I Disagree podcast. My name is Travis Frisk. I am your host for this evening. I have here alongside of me, I have Dana and Lorenzo. They are the co-hosts today. We are excited to get started. Doc is gone this week. He will be continuing solving the world's problems, so you are stuck with me. But I showered today, so we got that going for us. So
yeah, Doc probably didn't do that. He doesn't do that every. I said Doc probably didn't even do that. He doesn't do that every day.
He's always clean.
I know.
Clean. Wicked. He's always clean. So, if you are interested in the IDP podcast, you want to be part of the show, you want to give us a statement that you want to hear people talk about, there's all sorts of ways you can get connected with us. But to do it, we got to hear from you. Please go to IDP, I as in igloo, D as in doctor, P as in Patrick, at thewellnessway.com.
Or just I Disagree podcast. You could have,
I could have,
spelled
but
it
it's
out
more
like that.
fun to
Okay.
just flirt with my
All right,
friend
then.
who's not here today.
All
So
right, then.
IDP at thewellnessway.com.
Just saying.
Also,
As
to
I
help
post
us with
my
the
story.
algorithms and all the good things, please, if you like this show, if you like what we're doing, what we're trying to do, like, subscribe, share, comment on the live chat. We'd love to hear from you all. There's a lot of topics we can talk about, so bring them on. We want to hear from you. We are here because we disagree. But seriously, the reason why we're here is because of this wonderful lady to our right, along with Dr. Patrick. They started this idea by simply going to VaxCon. Was it 2020? 2021?
No, 21. Well, what's this year? 24. No, I think it was 22.
Okay.
It was in 22.
So there's a VaxCon
Sounds
that
right.
we go to, and Doc met up with Dana here, and those two had a wonderful talk. But it wasn't until she stood up during the question statement or segment where she said, "Where are all the dudes? Where are all the men?" And she had this courage to do that, and Doc just connected with her, and they came up with the idea to do this podcast, which is a parallel to the ADP podcast that Doc does every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Check it out. You'll love it. He has a huge following there where he really focuses on health. But Doc also has a passion for other things besides health, hence why we're here. So please, again, like, subscribe, share, and let's get right into it. I already mentioned Dana and Lorenzo. I would like to introduce our amazing guests. The fun part is I know both of you through one person, Damon, your brother. But before we get into that, let's have this handsome man introduce himself. Your name, your age, where you're from, what do you do for a living, talk about whatever you want to say, just in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, sounds good, Travis. Thanks for having me here today. I'm Vanya Kepke, 31 years old, born in Tomsk, Russia. I was adopted from a Russian orphanage when I was 10 years old. I currently am a trustee on the Hobart Village Board. I'm also running for Brown County Supervisor. I'm also a recent author of a book, You Are Here for a Purpose. The website is youarehereforapurpose.com, where I go and speak to churches, nonprofits, senior homes, and encourage people to find their purpose based on my experiences of growing up in Russia. And as far as my full-time gig, I work over at Schneider, and I'm married to my wonderful wife, Callie.
Outstanding. I just saw her. I met her briefly once in a parking lot a couple of years ago when you first got married. I think I just saw a post on your Facebook, and then I saw you guys in Festival. Give you guys a hug. She seems very nice.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And you know what? If you are in those sectors where he's running, look him up. Check him out. He loves to talk. He has a lot of wisdom, and if you're looking to vote for somebody, start there. Okay. Next, we have another handsome gentleman here who I know very well, one of my closest friends, but I'll let you introduce yourself.
You're too kind. Thanks for having me on. I'm Adrian Litticoat. I'm running for Green Bay City Council District 7. I'm the only nonpartisan candidate that's currently running. I've been a friend of Travis's for a very long time, it seems like. Met, that was only 4 years ago, but it seems like I've known you forever.
Yep, it really is. Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't say that better. I couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah. We've been friends for a good long time. Thank you for having me on.
thank you for being here, and thank you both for running for office and not just being part of the silent majority. You know, Dr. Patrick always talks about how people just sit there on their hands and they don't do anything. You guys are doing something. You know, we're doing something by talking. We're not just sitting on our hands or closing our mouth. So thank you.
If I may, I heard a quote from a Democrat in November. I forget what his name was. And he said that democracy is something you participate in, not observe. I'm like, well, there's one reason to run right there. And I think I filed my campaign paperwork within 2 weeks of listening to that statement. So
Nice.
Outstanding. You know, traditionally we do introduce, have you guys introduced yourselves? Do you want to do that again this time, or would you want to be a little spicy and try something different?
Wouldn't just not, so
Just
no one
not?
knows who we are anymore.
Ladies first, go for it.
I'll go. But I mean, they should know who we are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? My name is Dana. I'm 35. I'm married. I have 2 boys who are 6 and 8. I actually went to school for accounting. I was a CPA for 10 years. I worked on tax and then decided that was no longer for me. And so I made a 180 career switch, and I became a clinical nutritionist just to be given my passion for natural health. And so I do that now. And I also obviously help co-host this podcast every week. That's, you heard the story of how Doc and I got hooked up before. And then I also have a social media account called Dana Disagrees on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, where I make male dating relationship type content for promoting the alpha male and the patriarchy and all the fun things there, where I just get to have some sassy fun. So make sure you follow that. And I also have manuals that are in the works for what it means to be feminine and what it means to be masculine. So be looking for those coming out soon too. They are done editing. We just have to have some, I don't know what next steps are in a corporate world, some kind of creative meeting or something like that to figure out how to beautify them. So coming out soon.
As always, thanks for being here. Mm-hmm. And this handsome guy to my left. Wait, this is my left. Yep, we're good.
All right. Well, I am Lorenzo Tomas from the Random Things You Need to Know podcast, which is at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Minds, Gabs. Someone told me it was on TikTok. I think some people fuck their faces to the show often. I believe that you can insta-fuck yourself to it as well. So we are all over the place. So make sure that you guys go and check out some of the episodes. New one is up today. I don't remember what it's about. I've been too focused on, I've been discovering some new information, some historical stuff. So I don't know what today is. Oh, we're reacting to Twitter videos. Look at that. That's always fun.
Outstanding. And by the way, when he drops the F at the end of a word, it's usually a Facebook or Instagram. If you haven't figured that out, just to clarify,
Well, it's because the social media is just pure fuckery. You are literally just fucking yourself all the time with it. So there's the Instafuck and the Snapfuck, and which all of them are the equivalency. They're all the same. It's just nonsensical fuckery.
You know what might be what might be funny is called Insta Echo, because it's like a bunch of echo chambers out there, or face echo chambers. Everything's out. Especially when you go to
it's an Instafuck, because you get what you come to get, right?
Yeah.
You came to get fucked. You got fucked.
Yeah.
And now it's time to go.
Especially when
Quote
you're
the
sometimes
Boondock
you get that for 30 days
that
too.
certainly illustrates the diversity of the word.
There you go.
We have a good group here tonight. I'm really excited for this. Doc and Dana came up with a statement, and I might tweak it a little bit here because I don't think it's 3 anymore. I think it's few.
I've been saying 4 since
Okay.
since the turn of the year. But.
Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna make this statement here. I'm gonna start or make the what's the word?
Oh, what did you say it was? The static.
Oh,
Some statement. What was it? The static statement.
He said something. Let me see.
Yeah, I said something
No,
random.
it was.
It sounded
No,
smart,
it
but
was.
it just came out of my mouth.
You know what? I don't have it written.
It's all right.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
don't either.
That's what
Our
happens
motto,
when- that's what happens when you don't care.
our statement is this. In the past few years, there have been more disagreements, controversies, opinions, ideas, failed expectations, character reveals, surprises, disappointments, lies, belief, and bullshit than ever before. We're here to talk about things and have an opinion. You might have an opposite opinion. That's okay. We're allowed to agree or disagree, but we're allowed to talk about it and still be adults and shake hands after and take a picture. It's going to be cute. Anyways, that's why we're here. So, with that being said, there's one thing we're going to do. We're going to go around the room. I'm going to say the statement. We have 2 statements tonight, and you're going to tell me if you agree or disagree. and then move on to the next person, and then we'll come around again, and you'll explain why you agreed or disagree. So, the one thing we have to remember, the world likes to focus on the exception. Now, the popular topic that Doc always says when you're hosting, when I'm hosting, we always talk about abortion. That seems to be a topic where everybody wants the exception, not the rule. What's the exception? The exception is they want to focus on the agree or disagree based on, well, what if the mom's sick? Or what if I was raped? Okay, horrible things. But 99% of abortion is for birth control. It really is. So everybody wants to change everything on that 1%. So we can't focus on that 1%. We got to talk about the 99. That's how we make things move forward. Okay? So when you're talking about a statement, you're thinking about it, make sure that you're thinking about the rule, not the exception. I think society has done a wonderful job of making us focus on the exception, and that's why we're not getting anywhere. We're going backwards. So, with all that to be said, makes sense? We're good? All right, I'm going to say a statement, and I'm going to have Mr. Adrian go first, then Vanya, Larry, and Dana. Okay? All right. Statement number 1. Guns don't kill people. Guns don't kill people. Adrian?
Well, I carry one on my hip most of the day long. It hasn't hurt anybody yet. I would say that I agree with your statement.
Outstanding. We'll come back to the why in a little bit. Vanya?
I agree with that statement.
I agree.
I agree.
Outstanding. Now people go, well, what's the purpose of a podcast if everybody agrees? We agree for many different reasons. And actually, we've had some pretty healthy arguments on here, even though we all agree. So Adrian, if you may, please tell us why you agree with that statement, guns don't kill people.
Well, when you look at the background and the history of gun control and what is more accurately termed victim disarmament laws, you find that most of them are rooted in systemic dishonesty. So let's take, for example, the gun show loophole. Everybody thinks you can go to a gun show and you can purchase any gun you want without a background check. And that could not be further from the truth.
Right.
If you go to a gun show and you are a business, you have to have an FFL in order to sell guns at that business. Part of being an FFL is you have to run a background check on every gun that moves through your store for sale. So we're told that you can go to a gun show and buy a gun without filling out a background check, but nothing could be further from the truth. Now, there are some exceptions. Let's say people who do private sales. So let's say you have a kid who's going to college, they're living off campus, and you want to give them a gun to protect themselves as they're living off campus. Let's say it's a bad part of town. You're allowed to do that. That is what gets conflated with the gun show loophole. You have to do a background check on every gun that's sold at a gun show if you're in the business of selling guns. And even if you're not in the business of selling guns, you can't just sell a gun to any random person that comes along. You have to make sure that they would pass a background check. So if you're a felon, I can't give you a gun. I can't sell you a gun. That would be illegal. You and I do 10 years probably right next to each other in the same jail. So there are many other examples of systemic dishonesty surrounding victim disarmament laws. And we're simply not being told the truth about what's going on with guns in this country.
I have a question. How if you were selling him a gun, how would you know he wasn't a felon? Like what kind of background, what do you have to do for that?
So there is no prohibition in this state, Wisconsin. There's no prohibition federally against private transfers. You just have to make sure that that person would pass a background check. And the easiest way to do that is just go to a gun store and say, hey, I'd like to transfer this from one person to another. And they will charge you a fee. They will run a background check on that person. They'll probably charge that person a fee. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also check on CCAP we have here in Wisconsin. You can go to the police station. Some police stations will facilitate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Vanya?
Yeah.
Why do you agree?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I agree that guns don't kill people because for me, at the age of 16, my dad said, hey, let's go get your hunter safety taken care of. So we went to Daniel Boone's club in Richfield, and I did my hunter safety, got familiar with how to safely use a gun, went out and hunted in Rylander for many years with my family. And in every one of those years of hunting, with hundreds of thousands of people hunting, it was the deer that died because those guns were controlled by people, by responsible gun owners. And all these guns didn't just jump off of people's shoulders and start shooting at people. So again, hundreds of thousands of people hunting every year responsibly, and it's the deer going down for, again, the majority of the time. People talk about the exceptions and some accidents here and there. Majority of the time, hundreds of thousands of people, no deaths. Second main thing is the Second Amendment, right? We have one of the greatest documents in our country, our Constitution, right? And our founding fathers weren't fools that they would put in the right to bear arms as one of the cornerstones of our Constitution, and for them to think that, oh yeah, guns are going to go off and start killing everybody. No, they knew that is just nonsense. So they made sure we had the Second Amendment to defend ourselves from tyranny. So people who like use the exceptions or use this crazy phraseology that guns are dangerous and guns jump out of your holder and they start shooting by themselves, they are the ones who want to go backwards from what our founding fathers intended and from what makes our country great.
With that, go ahead.
Can we come back to accidents once we work our way around the table? That's another example
yeah.
of
You know what? I'll write it down. And Dana won't let me
dishonesty.
forget.
Yep.
Mr. Lorenzo, a.k.a. Larry, a.k.a. Mr. Awesome.
I said that I agree with the statement because so we can utilize the arguments that the left likes to throw out the most, which is they focus on urban violence when it's necessary, yet they never really focus on urban violence. But they'll utilize it when it's necessary, especially for the gun debate. They'll say, look at all the violence in Chicago, all right? And when you think about all the violence in Chicago, that's all. I don't think one chopper, I don't think one Glock, one 357 or a Saturday Night Special just woke up and said, all right, fellas, you guys enjoy the block. I'm going to walk around the corner real quick and kill a couple of kids, pop on back in, maybe pop some bullets inside of me, and then, take a nap. I'm just going to cool off for the rest of the night, guys. I don't think that has ever happened. I know for a fact that there are tons of young men in Chicago right now who believe that they are utilizing weapons to defend their turf, defend themselves. They have to do it because the rappers have said it's something to do. And so with that said, I don't know how the guns could ever be just on their own magically, deliciously killing everyone, because that sounds ridiculous. That's like saying money spends itself. It just falls out of your pocket. It falls out your pocket and then just spends itself. And then you just have shit. That's just how it happens. The money knows what to go get for you, too. The money pops on into Best Buy and says, television. Give it to that guy over there. And then it just drops stuff off. The car drives itself into the wall. Of course.
The woman drives it.
Well,
into
if
the
it's a
wall.
woman driving it, then the car probably did drive itself into the wall. It was doing us all a favor. But the car drives itself into the wall. It is never the person who has intentions to use that gun for evil whose fault it is. It is always the gun's fault. Even when they talk about school shootings, it is always something else, right? It's never that this person did this because they had intentions to do it. It's always the guns. The guns were speaking to people. The guns were saying, pick me up, shoot me. And the people were like, fucking gun, I just do whatever the gun says. That means that we have a bunch of people sitting in jail who should not be in jail. It should be a gun sitting in jail. And they should be free. As soon as they get away from that gun, they're all going to be okay. They're all going to be fine because it's the gun that is making all the bad shit happen. It's got to be, right? So with that said, that's why I agree, because it doesn't make sense. It's an argument of foolishness. I agree with this brother right here. It is dishonesty. But what it is more than anything is it is a way, I believe that what it is that it is a way to take people away from being responsible for their actions and putting the blame on everyone else, right? So it can't be me who shot that gun. It was my situation that I'm from. I'm from the hood. I'm impoverished. My mama, she can't work. So the gun shot, it wasn't me. It was my actions were dictated already before I even got the gun in my hand. And then it's probably the white man's fault, I'm sure, at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It has to be. It's got to be somebody's fault.
White man's a good one to blame.
Yes.
Very easy target.
Did he create the guns? Don't answer that question.
Are you going to answer that question?
Well, because we know
do you need-
the answer
is
is
that the history lesson?
Well, we know the
today?
answer is not. That's not true. White man didn't create the guns, but whatever. For this argument, I guess he did, right? Because if we're gonna blame the guns, we have to blame.
Well, we might as well just rewrite history all the time. Doesn't matter.
Well, we are. That's what we're doing.
I know. So we
very
might as well
true.
just do some more of it.
We're going through a transitioning, all of us. We're all transforming.
We are.
It's not just people transforming their outer selves. We're transforming our inner selves and our history. It's all happening at the same time.
Isn't it exciting?
What a time
Sorry, I'm
to
looking
be
for a
alive.
post when it was my turn to talk. Here we go. All right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Dana, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just look at the issue, pretty simply and everything. I'm like, all right, drugs are a tool that people can use to harm people. Baseball bats.
Drugs themselves get people high, not the people using the drugs.
Well, I wasn't talking about the high ones. I was talking about okay, I was talking about pharma. But anyway, it's a tool, right?
Well, that's the only time drugs actually work. It's with
Let's
pharmacy.
just not even. That is not today's
Outstanding.
topic. My point, though, was, okay, we'll take that one off because otherwise you're going to keep coming at me for it. But anyway, right, antifreeze is a tool used to harm people. Baseball bats are tools used to harm people. Knives are tools used to harm people. Cars are tools used to harm people. Okay, guns are a tool that can be used to harm people. But any of those things, you just take them and, put them on the table. Absolutely nothing happens, right? That's, kind of my whole point. It takes, like you guys were saying, it takes a human and it takes intent to actually go and harm people. And I just kind of think, like, if you don't like guns, then don't have them. Like, I don't get, you should know people who have them, though, because in case some kind of civil unrest breaks out or some kind of war breaks out, you better go to those people's houses and you better bring leather gloves with you because magazines get hot when you switch them out that quick, right? And so I think, too, that I do think, though, regardless of how you feel about guns, I do think people should have knowledge about them and know how to handle them. Like you, I took hunter safety when I was a kid, too. And so I got very comfortable with guns at that time. I would go target practice with 22s with a friend of mine, or I used a 30-06 when I was actually hunting. Whatever gun you use for clay pigeon shooting, I did that. Was that like a 12 gauge or something? I have no idea what it was. But anyway, it's good to at least have some kind of comfort with it, because then you at least understand a gun and how it works, and you can understand those rules, even those basic things that they teach you at hunter safety, like treat every firearm like a loaded firearm and know your target and what's beyond, and et cetera, et cetera. And so to have that familiarity is a good thing, even if you don't plan to use the weapon or anything. To have that comfort is good, and it makes that whole it makes the gun not as scary for the people who are scared of them. And I think just everything always comes back to control, and I talk about that a lot in this podcast too. There's only one party that wants to take away the guns, and it's the party that wants us to be a communist nation. So we should probably be kind of scared that they're talking about this. And I think too that when we talk about guns, there's a lot of people who do bring up, the hunting thing, where they might say well, I don't care if, people want to hunt, but why do you need, do you really need an AR-15 to hunt? And it's well, no shit, it's for you. In case you are the one who's trying to take all of our freedoms away and civil unrest breaks out, people are going to get harmed. But again, it's not the gun who's doing it. It's me. It's me who's harming you for taking that away from me.
Outstanding. My dad told me a long time ago, he said, the First Amendment, it's huge, right? Freedom of speech. But the first thing the government will do is try to take the First Amendment away when it becomes a tyrant, as a whole. The Second Amendment is there to protect us when that happens. Is it fair to say that's happening right now?
Oh, yeah.
Is it fair to say that that's probably why they're going after our guns? Because they know? It's almost like they've read history, And that's a big deal, because I'm watching this unfold. And he told me this well before, face, whatever you said, was throwing me in jail for 30 days on a consistent basis. It was happening for a long time. So I think of that statement right away. But the other one I want to bring up is this, and my phone timed out, but here we go. Hard times create strong men. We've talked about this before. I believe that's how this country was built. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. I am convinced that we are on the last one. Weak men create hard times. I believe, after all the wars in the middle of the century, we started to create weak men because we were free. We were lazy, nothing to go for. And then slowly the wrong people got put in the office. The people that spoke to your emotions versus speaking to facts and truth and law and all the things. So now we're in this situation where we got a bunch of weak men telling us how to be safe, how to be a good country. But I'm telling you right now, it's causing a lot of people to become stronger. That's how me and Adrian have become friends. I got to meet his brother Damon, and we go hiking, we stay in shape. We just don't know what's coming. We don't know what's coming. But we do know we had a little taste of it in 2020 when that Mr. Floyd situation happened in Minnesota. And the riots happened, and you know what? They got pretty close, didn't they? And we need to be able to have the right to protect ourselves. They would love for us to just be, belly up like a dog, being alphaed, but we're not that way. We are now we're about to turn, I believe, into the hard times create strong men. We're in that right now. It's being full circled. I don't know what's going to happen for it to get there, but I'll tell you what, I want my damn guns. I earned that right. I worked hard to get it, and I don't want to be told by some tyrant that I don't have that anymore, because you just don't want to follow the rules that happened, 250 whatever years ago when we started this country. So that is why, they knew what they were doing. They really worked hard to come across all this litigation, all the Constitution, everything we needed, right? So why change it? Why now? And that to me is very concerning. I watched what happened to Australia a few years back when they had the buyback. What's it called? The buyback? Am I saying that right? Okay. And all of a sudden, right after COVID hit, and guess what? Or can I say COVID on here? Is that scary? Oh, it's not taboo as much as it used to be. But I had so many nicknames for it. Anyways, when that virus happened, all of a sudden, Australia had nothing. All their guns were in the government's hands. You probably had a select few people that were able to hide them or whatever, and you watch those little mini concentration camps building up. I watched the videos of people stuck in these trailer homes. And the guy who was sitting like this, I'll never forget this. Yeah, I'm just sitting here in my house, on protocol, I'm isolated, I'm waiting for my gruel. Yeah, I'm just waiting, and he's showing like this, and he's doing this, and showing all the houses stacked up like a concentration camp. That's disgusting. They couldn't defend ourselves. I'll be damned if that happens to me. I don't own any guns. They're all at the bottom of the ocean. But if I did, I would fight back, right?
No, we gotta stop saying that.
I would push back.
We gotta stop saying our guns are at the bottom of the lake. Everybody's got to just know and be afraid.
Well,
it's true.
Like
but anybody who owns a gun knows exactly what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You know exactly where my firearms are.
Well,
but go ahead.
So this is something that's interesting about this is so when you brought up the thing about AR-15s for hunting, right? This is an argument that is often made. And I remember in Chicago, when this would come up, I would say, okay, I feel you, man. You right. Motherfucking hunter does not need a modified bump stock AR-15 to kill a deer.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
Then I'm assuming that the gangbanger doesn't need a Mac 11 to get his enemy. What does he need that high capacity weapon for? Does he need to really shoot off 44 rounds in one person? What did he do? What did he do that's so bad? Oh, y'all wore different colors? Sounds a little to me, but okay. Y'all wore different colors today. Your colors is this and your colors is that. And y'all wearing different colors. So we need to shoot about it. Right? So okay. But how it's okay, right? There's no argument that says, Well, no. In order, you're the gangbanger, the thug, the criminal. You shouldn't have a high capacity rifle either. You shouldn't have a high powered weapon either. If you need to protect yourself, then go get it the legal way. No. There's an excuse for him. His condition means that he does need that high powered weapon. For that one guy, he needs that weapon for that guy. But the hunter, see, it's him who's the problem. All that goddamn deer and cow that he's killing. Clearly, these people obviously have never been to a farm. They don't understand how cattle is raised. They just think that there are just white men walking around just shooting up deer, and then I guess they just pick them up and say, I got me some deer meat. I guess that's what they think is happening. And so it's very strange how the excuse is okay for urban areas. It's okay because you're defending yourself. So if you need to modify your Glock, if you need to go get you if we need to 3D print you one, well, see, that makes sense because you live in the hood. You got to protect yourself, right? But it's not okay for the rich white kid who went and shot up his school, right? And I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying now there's another, it's the guns, right? Oh my God, the guns did it. You know what never kills anybody and kills people all the fucking time? Goddamn waves in the ocean. Nobody says water killed those surfers. Nobody says water took the people from the Titanic. Nobody has said motherfucking water killed the people in the Titanic. Goddamn water, fucking Poseidon. Not fucking with him. I don't deal with him. He's an asshole. He kills people all the time. Nobody says that. Nobody blames the water for what the sharks do in the water. They don't say, that water, it's dangerous. Hurricanes, water, tornadoes, water and wind. Oh my God, you can't get them together. They're a gang.
That poor
They're a fucking gang.
That poor Wicked Witch of the
Oh
West.
my God, they're a gang. They're a gang now. Oh, it's water and wind? Hey, everybody go in the house. There's a gang outside. It's a terrorist. Terrorism is outside. They never say that. Nope. Only with the guns does this come up. Only with the guns. They never say any of this about that. So, something that you said that we've talked about this before, right? So you always say that you believe that we are in the hard men create or hard times create
Strong men.
No. That shit is over, bruh. This is the age of decadence. In all of history, it has all gone one way. This. There is no circular motion in it. It's done. It ends. That's how it goes. There's an arch. It comes to a climax. That's when you're ready to come, and then you do come. All over somebody's face. And then it's over. Then that's it. Done. You get up. You got to go wash yourself off and start anew again. You got to go figure it all out again. That's what's happening. There will be no men making better times for us. It's all going to go in the way that it's going because Marxism is prevailing. These are arguments of Marxists. That's what it is. This is the argument of people who do not want society to have rules. Or if they do have rules, the rules are only in favor of the minority group that wants these rules to exist. Because in Marxism, it's the minority that matters, not the majority. And so the minority is now the majority, and this is only for legislative reasons that they are the majority. And so for this, they're gonna get rid of your guns. They're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. It may not happen while you're a young man, but it's going to happen. You know how they're gonna do it? Incrementally. They're already doing it.
Like the frog in the water.
Man, they're already doing it. Just like when people always say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. I say, there's a fucking FCC. Your freedom of speech was gone when that motherfucking shit was created. When the moment that you couldn't say shit, bitch, fuck, cunt, pussy juice, all that shit on the goddamn radio, they were taking away your freedom of speech. You should be able to say all that all you want. I understand you don't want to yell out fire in a place, but why can't you? If everybody is too stupid to recognize there is no fire, then motherfucker, why is your freedom of speech being taken? I should be able to yell fire in here. And if all y'all run out, well, then it's the Lorenzo Tomas show, guys. These idiots all left. You don't see a fire in here, but the motherfuckers left. So I guess they wanted me to have a show today. Once we started allowing for these things, the Seditions Act by John Adams, you don't have freedom of speech. If you can't talk about your government and talk about them however you choose, these guys are assholes. You're going to jail. You don't have freedom of speech. The same thing is happening with the guns. Illinois is a prime example. One of the strictest gun laws is in that city of Chicago, and if they don't have 20 to 25 people getting shot every summer, every weekend with those strict ass gun laws. The only people who are affected by those gun laws are citizens who want to go buy guns legally. The criminals, they just get them from anywhere, right? They just get them from anywhere.
Yeah.
They get them from homies. They get them from other gangbanging friends. They get them from a family member. They get them from wherever. And it
Evil
doesn't
never
matter.
sleeps.
And it doesn't matter. And they've even shown, police have even shown, when they get these guns back, if they actually confiscate them, they find out the bodies that are attached to these guns, it's ridiculous. And it can go from Texas all the way to Michigan. That's crazy. And it's just bodies on them. We can trace the gun, the bullet back to this body. This shooting was in this situation over here. And so it's like the gun laws, the guns aren't doing anything, but the people, they're doing it. So there will not be this circular motion that you're hoping. All you can hope for is that while it happens, it just doesn't affect you as much.
I just hope you're wrong, but you got some sound evidence there.
Well,
but
take a look at Rome. Rome never recovered. They could not recover.
When
Spain, they could not recover.
let me clarify. It's not just America I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking about in general. It's just a little lagged here right now. But
I don't think it's lagged. It's on time. That's the thing. It's on time. So it started in 1783. This nation started in 1783. Then that means that we are on time. You only got about 100 more years. You're on time for the destruction of America. It's time for it to end. Rome lasted 500 plus years. Good for them motherfuckers. After that, they figured out, the governments and powers that be figured out, we'll never let that happen ever again. And even in the last 100 years, terrible. Age of decadence. You got all kind of nonsense happening. You got things that are happening right now that were happening then. So it's not that things are going to get better. They're going to get worse. Actually, they're going to get worse. And what will be better is only in your household, right? Because you'll raise your kids a certain kind of way. They'll go out and meet other people. They'll bring those people into your house. So to you, it'll be like, that world out there that I thought was all fucked up, it's not really that fucked up for me because my kids, my grandkids, my wife, my circle of people, we're all good. I don't have to worry about that. And that will become the solace. Because realistically, it's going to get worse. I put it to you like this, and then I'm done. I just heard yesterday that there is a group in the UK. It ain't here yet, but soon it will be. There's a group in the UK that is upset because there are cisgender women who are claiming clubs, claiming sports, and that is called gender racism. It's going to get worse.
outstanding. I would like to hear you guys' take on everything. It's if you need a point of reference, because we've kind of scrolled a little bit, and that's what we do here. But when you think of this statement, hard times create strong men, and related to guns and weapons, when you hear these four statements that I mentioned, I'm going to repeat them again. I can, but what are your thoughts on that? Where are we at in your opinion? What do you think we should do about it?
You do what you can. You make sure that you have rock solid convictions, and then you act on them. And you find people who are like-minded, and you network with them, and you network with them a little further, and then they network with people, and you do what you can within your circle, and pretty soon your circle is unassailable, or at least your convictions are within that circle. You do the best you can.
Good. Vanya?
Yeah, I've never heard that statement before, but I really like it. I truly believe that hard times will create strong men. America is a nation of resiliency, and we've done it for hundreds of years. And to me, what boggles my mind is I grew up in Russia. I was adopted when I was 10, and I saw communism fall throughout the time I was there. And I came to America, and I just saw one of the strongest constitutions. I believe in the time America has had one constitution, Russia has had 14. So it's not just amendments. We're talking shred the constitution and start over. So I am so proud to be in this country, and I totally agree with you, Adrian. We need to stand up for our values. To me, if I lose every single election I ever run for in the future, so be it. I will not compromise who I am, number one, as a Christian, but number two, who I am as an American. So it starts with two things, preferences and definitions. Shameless plug, I talk about this in my book. In our world, people have preferences on how things should be, and then they define how they should be. What is being attacked right now? It's how we define things. What is the Second Amendment? What are gun rights, right? What is anything? Yeah, what is a woman? So if you think about it, who's controlling the dictionaries? Who's controlling our definitions of words? Because people often say, well, Vanya, I am identifying as this. And I say, well, I identify as a Christian. Well, separation of church and state. Well, it's like, wait a second. You are trying to define who I am, and you're trying to break up that strong group who's for the Second Amendment, who's for our Constitution. So definitions is the first thing. Watch how people are chipping away at our words. They're chipping away at the meaning of things. Mm-hmm. And then preferences, same thing. If people prefer to have Marxism, if they prefer not to have the Second Amendment, they will then push their preference and their way of life as the only truth, as the defined truth that they have redefined. And they will say, well, Vanya, you can't have a nativity scene, or you can't be pro-gun, near a government building. But if you want to have a pride flag or something else, then that is the symbol of love. I'm like, wait a second, who's defined the pride flag as a symbol of love? Who's defined all these things as the way? Because to me, as a Christian, Jesus truly defined what love is, how our morals and ethics should be. So again, however your view is on all these things, the point isn't, be like Vanya. The point is always look at the definitions and how they are redefined and preferences. And people blindly fall their allegiance to these things. And I just say, pause. Wait a second. Why can't we have a cross flag flying over a government building? Mm-hmm. Because the Establishment Clause does not get in the way of that. And Thomas Jefferson saying separation of church and state on one of his thinking sessions does not put it in the Constitution. Those are not in the Constitution. So to me, again, I came to America. I saw the greatest country on earth. And over the last 21 years that I've been here, I have seen this decline, this fall down. But I agree with you, Travis. I think if we stick together, if we speak the truth, if we don't let preferences and definitions define who we are as a country, we will get back to who we are as a country. A Second Amendment, a First Amendment, and a freedom-loving country that respects everybody. It's not, people say protect democracy. Number one, protect the democratic republic. Democracy, it is the people who are in power, who are governing. Republic, it is the people who are giving the power to those people to govern. So I love our democratic republic. I love our country. And I love the Second Amendment.
Outstanding. I really think that we're lacking in this too. This is one thing where I've always thought, I believe the generational gaps that are happening, and they're happening more rapid every couple decades, is we're not educating our people, our kids, our family, people that we're close to, how guns work. Adrian, you've heard me say this to my son many times. What's the first rule of guns, Braden? He says, no takebacks. I'll say, what does that mean? Once I pull that trigger, I can't take it back. That really encompasses a lot of the rules that you learn in hunter safety, but it's a way to start training these kids that these guns are a wonderful weapon, a tool for you to use, but it can go bad for you real quick. So if you have a good home, if you have good discipline in your home and you teach them upright, they're just fine. We are becoming weak because of that statement. By the way, I texted you guys that statement just so you have it for your own keeping. But, we are not doing a good job as a nation of teaching. In fact, we are stripping that. And eventually we are going to have a problem where the numbers are going to be flip-flopped, not in our favor. Right now, we are the country with the most guns. That is why we haven't been attacked, in my opinion. I believe that, a country like China, what would have came in here and don't come into my house, buddy. But they would have taken us over. But I really believe that we haven't been because there is millions and millions of guns that they aren't accounted for, and they can't find them. And I think that when you have a whole country spread out full of people that can defend themselves, at least to a certain extent, it makes it a little bit more intimidating to come in here and jump down our throats. And I could be wrong on that, but my point is, you know what? That's probably going to happen maybe in a couple decades when the next generation, when I'm in my walker and they're sitting there, and you got these people that have no idea even how to use a gun, probably shoot themselves. They don't know which hole to look out of. And, you know, it's going to be scary. We have to do a better job as a nation. If you own a gun, teach your family. Get out there. Teach. I have mentors that teach me. One sitting here, and I've learned so much, and I share that message to somebody else. I don't just keep it for myself. We don't do that. I mean, some do. I would prefer to say that I'm the exception, unfortunately, and not the rule. Or maybe it's getting to that point. I don't think there's a lot of people that are doing that. I think they're just too lazy on their phones or whatever. I don't know what the reason is behind it, but I also think that there's an emotional part that's coming from the news. You know, and the schools are teaching our kids their opinions before we're getting to them. That's why you got to get to them while they're young. Teach them the truth from day one.
That goes back to that dishonesty point.
Yeah.
Let's talk about accidents. I really wanted to bring this up because this
Yes,
is
I did have it
This
there.
is so funny. So you've probably taken your kid to a pediatrician's office and seen a poster of a crying 2-year-old, and it says every couple of minutes another child dies from gun violence. And what you're supposed to think is little Johnny found daddy's gun on the coffee table and accidentally shot himself. And that's them being dishonest. So in order to get those numbers, the government has to redefine children. So I'm pretty sure you're aware, for the purposes of insurance, children are occasionally defined all the way up to 26 or 27. Right. Children can stay on people's insurance up until 26 or 27. Well, in order to get child gun deaths, they redefine child all the way up to 21, 22, somewhere in there.
Oh, jeez.
So if you're a 16-year-old school shooter and you get shot by police, well, your death just contributed to childhood gun violence. If you're an 18-year-old who's carjacking in any big city and you try to run over a police officer and you get shot by that police officer, well, you just contributed to child gun deaths. Same thing at the age of 22. And all of those statistics are going to end up on a poster with a crying child trying to convince parents in an office that there's 80,000 children a year that are going to die of gun violence. And when you actually look at the statistics of how many children actually find daddy's gun and horribly, tragically cause an accident, you come up with a number that would actually justify banning buckets and swing sets before you justify banning guns based on that number. That's what I talk about by dishonesty. We're being misled about the problems with guns in our society.
And they use fear.
Who does that? Who manipulated the stat? Or who got to decide that it was 21 or whatever?
You'd have to look at the bottom of the poster. I haven't been to a pediatrician's office lately.
But the two of
I
you,
will never go to one, so it's just a whole other reason, guys.
I'm sure we could find that poster.
Yeah, and I'll just say this really quick so we can keep going around the circle. But you used the word definitions. Again, who's redefining things? And you used the word my son, family. Where are the moms and the dads who are educating those kids who are raising up and educating this next generation? So whether it's definition, family, education, it all comes back to who is that dad, who is that mom, and you're teaching your kids the right way about guns.
It's true. If we do a good job of that, you're gonna look. As long as we're moving around, breathing, crap's gonna happen, you know. But this whole thing about, you know, they're fearing your way into making a decision that is irrational and it's causing us our freedom even worse. Like, you know, you mentioned the FCC and everything, and it's like, and now they're bringing that to the guns. And FCC with the freedom of speech and the guns now next. I mean, they're fearing your way into just complying, and it's just getting sickening.
Well, because like I said, it's the age of decadence. In the age of decadence, you have people who are not interested in the same things that the previous eras were interested in. In the age of colonialism, you're interested in creating a new world for the future. these people today don't see a future. They are the future. They see now. So it only matters their hubris today. Like this is something that's big with the talk about religion, right? And everybody is always saying this stuff about Christianity and how people need to get back into Christ and get back to the church. But you can't do that now because the people don't believe in God. They believe in personal hubris. That is their religion. Their religion is my happiness. I don't even care about what happens to you. I only care about what happens to my happiness. Not even my sadness. Not even my family's happiness. My happiness is what's important. That's the new religion. The religion is personal hubris. That is, unfortunately, I can't remember which philosopher said this, but this was something that they stated would happen in the age of Aquarius as we shifted through the celestial, nonsensical stars and skies and shit. As we move into the age of Aquarius, more people will start believing in themselves more than they believe in these religions. So if I believe in me and my personal happiness, what do I care about you and your gun rights or your supposed gun right? I care about me being. I don't want to hear about people getting shot all day. So it's gonna make me happy to take your gun rights away from you, because then I'm happy. I'm in a better mental state, right? My personal hubris has been satisfied, but it's only temporary. I'm gonna need some more. I'm gonna need this dopamine hit again, so I gotta take more stuff away from you. And the government, in my opinion, is not. The politicians have no interest in any of this. They will do whatever they need to do to get votes, right? Mm-hmm. But what the problem is that our government is ran by non-for-profits, think tanks, and bigger organizations that have a much, much larger goal for the general people. And what they want is they want the decadence. They want the people to be in a decadent lifestyle. They want them to see only material things. They want them to care more about what everybody thinks versus what is going on in your family. They want people to say things like, I don't care about your rights, I care about my feelings. So your rights, I care about my privilege more than rights. I don't even care about rights. I only care about privileges. So something that you said was people need to know that we're a democratic republic. Man, do you know how many people I have talked to? And I have said to them, when they say, we're a democracy, I say the Pledge of Allegiance. Just go ahead and say it. I'll stop you when you need to shut the fuck up. And they start saying it, and they get to, until the republic, and I say, now shut up. Did we say until the democracy for which that shit does not stand? Did we say that? And then they always say, well, I don't understand. And I said, that's on purpose. This is on purpose. And this is within the last 20 years. They stopped teaching your high school kids about oligopolies, monopolies. Because in there, I know in my high school, that's when they started teaching you about governments. They tell you, well, and then there's an anarchy, and then there's democracy, and then there's the republic. Then you learn about all these things. They're not doing this anymore. They are too busy telling you about pronouns. But in Marxism, when you need to start, like I said earlier, we're in the age of transitioning now. Now we're transitioning. We've come out of the old, right? So now in Marxism, we're all new people, right? So now we have to become the new people. We have to usher in the new thinking, right? The new thinking is equity for all. No more equality. Forget that. That word sucks. Now we all need equity for all. The new thinking is history is whitewashed. George Washington could have been Mexican. You didn't know? Yes, he was a Hispanic man named Jorge Washington. That was his name. And so that is what has to happen now. We have to transition history. So and people think that it's not going to happen. They think look, in the black community, they are running around saying that there are black popes. I said, name one. I would love to know who this Negro Pope is. Where the fuck did he come from? Well, Pope Sylvester. His name's Sylvester. Shut the fuck up. He is from Northern Rome. What are you talking about? Okay, well, Pope Clement. No, stop. Stop the lies. Now you're getting into the Medici family. You have no idea what you are talking about. And then they are saying, but it was black popes. They just don't want to tell you about them. Who is the they? The Vatican would have no problem telling you if they had a black pope. They would have no issue with telling you that. This isn't about race for them. And so, but give it time. Oh, just give it time. The same way how black people claim Cleopatra. The proof is there. She's from Ptolemy. Ptolemy was a Macedonian. These are pale-skinned Greeks. What are you talking about? No. She's a black woman, dark skin, from Detroit. What the fuck are you talking about? She does fucking weave specials on Thursdays. You can get your weave done, Dana. You trying to get them nails done? She's doing nails.
All right.
Cleopatra Jones. That's her fucking name in Detroit. So this is what has happened. But people believe this. They say Elizabeth Taylor is a liar. They say that movie's a lie. But what you get to change history, and as you transition history, you transition people to believing a different version of history. You transition people to say, there's 1,000, I can be with 1,000 different sexes, right? You transition people into believing we don't need to have children. Children suck. They're the bane of everyone's existence. You transition men to not working. You transition men to being more effeminate. You transition women to being more masculine. It's not, and everybody's doing it at the same time. People always think, oh, it's been happening over time. You're right, it has been happening, and now the transition is taking full visual shape. It's always been mental. It was always mentally shaping you, trying to make you think, okay, this is okay. The first, what do I always say? The best form of socialism was slavery. They conditioned people to think that slavery was something that will never happen to you. It'll never happen to you. It'll never happen to you. It can't happen to you, any of you all, because you all are white men. So it'll never happen, right? Might happen to you because you're a white woman. It could happen, but we're going to make sure it doesn't happen to you. But for me, I have to always be in fear that it may come back. Why? Is it because my group is the group that is very much in favor of socialism? Could it be because Dana's group could possibly fall for it because her group is 60 to 70% for socialism? Could it be that they can't get Christian white men because you all are not going to fall for the socialist nonsense yet, until they start circumventing Christianity and then making you believe in social Christianity, or you become a Christian Zionist or a Christian socialist, right? So now you're this kind of a Christian. So now you are for socialism. The best version of socialism was slavery, and if we all become slaves, then we all become socialists.
You know, we're getting up on the hour for the statement, but, you know, you mentioned something, well, I think you said something about feelings, and it brought me back to the Satanic Bible. I break away from all conventions that do not lead to my earthly success and happiness. Mm-hmm. You talked about people thinking inwardly. That's why they're not doing things for the future. Mm-hmm. He also says, you know, I think his name's Anton LaVey or something like that. And he said, do whatever feels right. I'm paraphrasing now.
Do what thou wilt.
Yeah. Do whatever you want. So if you're in power and you're a weak man and you're thinking inwardly, you're not thinking about us. You're thinking about yourself and what you want to stay in power as long as you possibly can. And I think that's what's turning this country from freedom to a tyrannical country. And we have a big problem because now we got a bunch of people that are voting on their what? Feelings.
But they've been doing that since, you know, I know you're not going to care, but they've been doing that since the 1860s.
And that's scary.
It's been since the 1860s. And I'm gonna go back further than that, because you can't have a revolutionary war where you have all these merchants who are being affected the most getting the public to buy into the idea that, hey, this shit's gonna affect you too. It's gonna affect your pocket. They could easily say, I don't need your fucking tea. I live in the field. I'll grow mint. No, I need to come and get the tea from him because John said if I don't get it from him, I can't get no tea. So now I'm upset that I can't get tea. Damn British. Mm-hmm. Right? Damn British. So in Virginia, the problem isn't tea. The problem is, what's the issue? Oh, hey, we thinking that we may stop you all from having slaves. Well, we'll just secede. We don't have to deal with this bullshit from America. Oh, it's not America saying, it's the British. Damn British.
Again, emotions. And I really think, look, we really got to get back to facts. Like what you said before about, you know, just you ask questions like behind the statement of like the flag you used, like, you know, why do you feel that way? Well, like why does that have to define love? Like, you said Jesus defines love, not the rainbow and the pride and yada yada. Right. So we need to start asking questions, get rid of the emotion. I like to look at emotions like the Leo Frigga Bridge. For those who live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you go over the bridge, You've done it a million times, and you could damn near do it blindfolded, right? But the second you put thick fog on there, you're freaking out. You're not quite sure when you're going to see those brake lights. That's life. The fog is the emotion. The road is the path you've been on a million times, but you panic every time that fog's in there. I understand why, but some people don't have the patience and the ability to wait it out, let it clear, and then keep moving on your life. They need answers now. Hey, you vote for me. I'm going to clear that fog out for you right now. Vote! Not knowing any other agenda that person has to that's probably going to be evil, because they're thinking and feeling inwardly. We took God out of everything, a few decades ago. And whether you believe in him or not, you have to accept the fact that there was order, there was law, and there was a better consistency across the board. We're not seeing that now. And that's what they want. They want us divided. We are so divided. It's like watching a bird shot of a shotgun spread everywhere.
What do you think it's just God, or is it religion in general? Because even Islamic people who carried the faith, right, they still were decent people. They didn't want to kill. It's extreme Wahhabism that is killing, that is the Islam that is killing. But if you were Sunni and Shia, if you practiced your faith, you practiced your faith. Similar to a person who is Jewish, you practice your faith, you're pious, that's your faith. You're not a Zionist. You're not trying to take over. You're not trying to take over a country. So do you think it's religion, or is it just Christianity?
I can only speak into what this country was founded on, but I honestly believe that. Look, I don't believe in the Muslim religion, but I do know that they have an order of doing things. But there's certain parts in that Quran does not line up well with our ideals here in America. But my point is, there is something about the self-discipline they have that you can admire, and it actually brings more value than just this lawlessness and just free-for-all of bullshit.
Well, I think you guys are kind of hitting at what is that source of truth, right? I think to your point, everybody wants to have their own source of truth. Talk about chaos and anarchy if we have our own version of the Second Amendment or of guns or of anything. So I think our country, our world needs to get behind that source of truth that has been so stable for so many years, and faith has been one of them over the decades. Our Constitution has been pretty solid as a source of truth, but a lot of people don't like it. They don't like the Second Amendment. They don't like the First Amendment. So, I mean, yeah, there's a source of truth. There's the definitions. There's the preferences. I mean, just all layers on each other.
I agree. Well, I think that's good. Guns are good, right? They don't shoot back unless you choose.
I don't know. Guns like this water. I'm very definitely afraid of this water right now.
It might dump.
It might jump out at me.
What if
It might look at. What if it turns around, and just dumps on you?
What the fuck?
So good chatter. I think honestly, we only hit the first two layers of this. I think we could probably do a 5-hour segment on guns alone if we really dig and bring the facts in and kind of. But we don't have time. So really, thank you. That was good feedback. I appreciate it. And yeah. So number 2, it's better for America to put themselves first before helping others. It's better for America to put themselves first before helping others. Vanya, I will have you go first, then Adrian will go around this way. We'll clockwise.
I agree with that statement.
It's better for Americans when America puts America first.
Outstanding.
I agree.
I agree.
Outstanding. Vanya, do you want to go first? Expand on why you said that you agree?
Yeah, of all the people whose second language is English, and the guy from Russia, I think it's appropriate to kick it off that way. But yes, as we were talking about earlier, we need leadership. We need strong leadership. We need a strong source of truth, right? And America has been that shining city on the hill for so long, and it has helped out not only America, which is the priority, but so many other countries because of our success, because of our strength and leadership. So yes, America does do better when we put ourselves first, because we are that much more able to become that strong source of truth, that strong leader, and that strong compass, if you will, for so many countries around us. To me, it's blowing my mind that we cannot rally around causes like homelessness, like veteran issues, like the opioid crisis, because we don't have the money. We're $33 trillion in debt. But when Mr. Zelensky asked for a $200 billion check to nonsense and oligarchs in Ukraine, no problem. So to me, as a born Russian, adopted American citizen, and now an American citizen, I am certain now more than ever before that America needs to be put first. Our veterans need to be put first. Our homeless put first. Those dying from the opioids put first. And from there, we can address the other issues in the world that the world needs so much direction on.
Can I ask you, do you speak Russian?
Да, я говорю по-русски.
Can you, that's awesome. Can you say, like, I'm very happy to be here this evening. Thanks for having me. Or something, like, in a sentence.
Я очень веселый, что я здесь сегодня.
That's so cool. Can you say, Travis has huge pecs?
My Russian is a little rusty, but I would compliment that, yes. Очень большие, I know, very big, очень большие, but from there, it's a little rusty.
Thank you. You didn't have to say that. That's outstanding. Thank you. Adrian. Thanks, Fonny. That was good.
So
Go
how
ahead,
many
Adrian.
people at this table have kids? All right. So imagine your kids are depressed, they're starving, and you have it within your power to take care of them. What percentage of your income should you be donating to charity before you take care of your kids? That's putting America first. We have to take care of, as you said, veterans issues. We have a major opioid crisis, and America's children are sick, and we should be taking care of them before we should be donating to other charities.
I agree. Double D.
Yeah. My answer was just going to be plain and simple, just like that. True. I was going to say I have 2 kids at home, and if my kids were sick, and if also the neighbors' kids were sick, I really don't care about the neighbors' kids. I care about my kids and taking care of mine kids. That's all fine and nice, and I can like help you guys out later. But my kids will absolutely come first, no matter what. No matter if I like or hate the neighbors, my kids are going to come first every single time. And I just. You know, you talked about, you know, sending money other places and stuff too, and I just like find it very interesting that we can just be the world's ATM and nobody's trying to be an ATM for us, and that's just pretty ridiculous.
I agree. You know, I really look at this. Wait, did you go? You didn't go yet. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Forgive me. Sorry.
I was going to disagree at first. I was. And the reason, and then as I was thinking about my disagreement arguments, I said, you know what? Those are not going to work. So, because what I was going to say is all of you all, I figured everybody was going to say the same thing about sending money away, right? And what I was going to think about saying was, well, this whole nation started with other nations funding it. The French, the Spanish, when we had a time of war, the Polish helped us. Prussia was very helpful to us in different issues. I mean, in my opinion, we've had tons of help, tons of aid to get this whole thing started. So don't we owe something back to those nations? But then I also thought about how, well, because of how America was made, that wasn't America, right? Some of those issues are to become America, but that's not America. So then those individual areas might need to, you know, look out for maybe those other nations. So the reason I agreed is because after quickly processing that and saying, that's a bad argument, Lorenzo, I thought about it and said, well, the biggest issue that I have with America not looking out for itself is that we do not respect the rules, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. And so that is the uttermost not looking out for ourselves. When we start looking into other nations and saying, oh, look at Sweden and how they do things. Oh, look at Canada and how they do things. We're not putting into proper context population size. We're not putting into proper context how those taxes, the cost of how those people's quality of life is. We just see that things appear better. And so we don't really recognize, and so that makes us not be able to be loyal to our nation, to our politicians, to those who are actually looking out for us. So then we end up buying into the politicians who say, I have a gift for you. Look at this. Don't look at my hand going in your pocket. Just look at this over here. Look, it's nice. It's cute. Look at this. And so you end up having this disloyalty. And so when I think about the money going out, I always think, well, that's because we are disloyal to our nation. Like you said, we have homelessness. There's absolutely no reason that there should be a Skid Row, and we give all that money not only to Ukraine, but how much money do we give to Israel? How much money do we just give to other nations in general? Because we have different debts that we owe, or we're helping them with their military campaigns. I mean, we're constant, and this is just money that we know of, right? Yeah. We don't talk about how we utilize our tax dollars to fund terrorist regimes and then turn around and then fight those same terrorists. So what the hell was that money for? That was to do what? What was that for? Iran-Contra is a prime example. What was the point of that? So we got involved to help the enemy to then go back and fight the enemy to do what was this? What was the purpose of this? And this is all the disloyalty that we have accumulated all over this time. We have no loyalty. We don't care about the Constitution. We definitely don't care because we don't know that we're a democratic republic. So how can we even be loyal to this nation? We don't know any Bill of Rights except for I have the right to a speedy trial, or I have a right. And this is not that. That's Miranda, goddammit. But just, they'll just start saying stuff. Or I got a right to freedom of speech, and it's like then only when it's necessary for that person do they want to utilize those rights. Only when it's necessary for them do they want to start talking about the Constitution. No one cares about the Constitution when it's time to defend yourself. No one cares. I even think about how we allow for a war to take over to take away one part of the nation's economy because we claim that we didn't like it, right? So the Civil War, we had a moral issue here. Well, no one sees how unconstitutional that was. No one sees how that's a fracturing of our nation right there. We allowed a group of radicals to come in and destroy the nation, essentially. And it's been destroyed ever since. And so when we think about paying out money, I always think about how Thomas Jefferson, one of the issues that he had was, and he stated, we do not need to get involved in any foreign issues because once we get involved into those things, we are now indebted to those nations. Mm-hmm. You cannot be a part of these conflicts and only be on one side. And you can't play both sides because then you end up in a situation where now somebody is going to be resentful, i.e. what we did, playing around with Britain, playing around with the Indians, or with the Native Americans, playing around with France. You can't be friends with everybody. You can't play this game with everybody. So, and I believe that once we did that, we have now created this attitude in Americans where we're not loyal to each other. So yes, it is harmful that we are not loyal to ourselves, and we should be caring about ourselves more. But because of the situation that we have created, for at least now, it appears 200, maybe since the inception of the United States of America, we can't be loyal to this nation. We won't be.
I agree. You know, I love the analogy of when you're on a plane and something's going on, the air pressure gets lost, the masks come out. What do they tell you to do first?
Drone on.
Yep, put your own on. You got to put your own mask on before you can help others, because if you're out of oxygen too, you're all screwed. And I believe in that concept. You know, in the Bible it talks about, Jesus talks about the bowl or the cup, I can't remember what it was. Don't worry about the outside, worry about the inside. America is the inside in this story. We need to worry about ourselves first, because we can be a more effective help when we have the funds, when we are taken care of, and we're healthy. But right now, we are so dirty, we're so messed up in the bowl, and we can't get anywhere with it. I mean, we can throw money their way, but we don't know if it's even effective. And half the country doesn't even know what's going on or what's true because of the media out there that's bought and paid for, right? They're just telling what they're told. It's the government doing it, let's be honest, But how do you know what's true anymore? How can you actually help? How do you know if it's actually help that they need? I liked Tucker Carlson. You could take him for what he's worth. I enjoy him. But he went to Russia recently. And all the taboo about how evil they are and this and that. He walked into a grocery store because there was the thing way back when where there was no food on the shelves and everything. He went in there and tried to buy the exact same thing. And I have the video if you guys want to watch it. But try to buy the exact same thing that he would buy in America. And he went there. He got almost to the T, the exact same thing he would get in America, and he paid 1/3 the price. So you tell me, who are the morons?
Probably better quality too.
Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, there were still Snickers and a bunch of stuff I wouldn't eat, at the cash register. But my point is this: it's everybody else seems to be benefiting, but we're not, and we're rotting. And it's like asking, let's just say Dana's, filing for bankruptcy, and I'm asking her for money. Does that make sense? No, I think I would ask Doc for money, right? Not Dana, who's in this example is broke, and that's what we're doing.
She's filing for bankruptcy, and she knows she's the CPA. She's not broke.
But you get my
That's
drift.
who you should be asking for money.
Oh yeah. But you get my point. Why are we helping, right? If we can't even help ourselves, right? Why would I give marriage advice if my marriage was in shambles? Same concept. This is kind of basic humanity 101, but we made it really difficult because people are so blinded by Big Brother telling us what to believe. And it's very unfortunate, but that's what I believe. Take care of ourselves. We have our own freaking problems. And guess what? When you wake up tomorrow, there'll be more problems. I would just in Atlanta for a week with Doc, and my wife and I were sitting there. We're driving in downtown Atlanta to go to the seminar we were going to, and I'm seeing tents under bridges all over the place. And granted, we have that here too, but why are we worrying about the tents on the other side of the planet? We got to take care of ourselves, teach them how to live a good life, or at least give them support to allow themselves to do that. But you got to do it here first. We're rotting from an educational, from a health, from a financial. We're $1 trillion in debt, and it's not getting any better. Thanks, Bidenomics. But it's been going like that since the 90s. I've been trickling down. But here we are trying to help people, and we don't even know why. So just know that a third of your paycheck every other week or every week, depending on when you get paid or how often, is going somewhere else. And that's sad. I know some of it's going here. Obviously we have a military, but really, if they can come up with a few or a lot of billions of dollars right away to go over to Ukraine, but they're going to complain about our budget for our military.
That's building the wall.
Yep, or building the
only
wall.
$5 billion.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. And if you really want to help people, all you could do is just turn on the Keystone Pipeline again. And guess what? Things start going down. People have more money. They can start helping. Doc has a wonderful saying, you all complain about money and it's the evil thing, but it's because you haven't made enough yet to give back to other people. You see what I'm saying there? So if your bowl is clean on the inside and it's full of what you need, you can start giving back. Why are we giving to people that are not even Americans, probably hate us because it's been indoctrinated across the world to hate us? Why are we helping them out when we can't even help ourselves? I'm not against helping anybody, but we got to help ourselves first, and we're not doing that. We are not putting ourselves first, and it's showing. Crime rates, finances, inflation, you name it. We got weak people all over in power. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, on top
Where
of
do you
that,
wanna
you got
start?
anxiety, loneliness, depression at the highest levels. Yeah, highest level ever. And yet we are so committed to helping everybody else. Like, wait a second. Let's get back to helping our own citizens with all these loneliness, depression, anxiety issues, instead of going and putting on the Ukraine pin on ourselves.
I think it was 22 or 23, we saw a statistic that men are committing suicide at such a great rate, it actually lowered the national life expectancy, not just for men, but for the entire country. That's an epidemic. That's massive. That's a statistic that should terrify everyone. And we're not hearing about that on the news. We're not getting ticker updates at the bottom of the screen talking about this is how many lives were claimed by the opioid crisis. We're not getting ticker updates. Doctors aren't coming on the screen talking about what you can do to protect yourself from depression and loneliness. We have an issue with people feeling isolated, with people not having hope. People don't commit suicide when they have hope. People don't overdose on opioids when they have hope. We have to give people hope. Extend charity outward from yourself, live your values, and create a community where people start to do that.
And you know what? With the guns thing and the men thing, I think this is all kind of ties together. The government is trying to remove the balls, right, of the man. Like literally and figuratively, where they're trying to demasculate us and treat us the same. We're not the same. We're not built differently. Women's hormones are up and down all the time. Ours are the same, right? Unless we eat so unhealthy where it crashes. That's a whole other conversation. My point is, they're trying to make us less of a man. That actually makes perfect sense to me. Excuse me, that we are that sick to where men are popping their heads off, and it makes sense because we are going against the grain from a government standpoint, and it's sad. That makes me sick to think of that.
Well, I'm curious to know this. Do any of you all think that maybe because we have extended all of this aid and assistance to all these bad Americans, that is probably part of the reason why we are in the state that we're in? Mm-hmm. I mean, We're sitting here funding defectors. We're Americans, like not foreigners. People who are here, who hate being here, who have an issue with the American flag, who have an issue with the national anthem, who have an issue with the history of America, who have an issue with everything that is just American, except for dollars, right? They love that Federal goddamn Reserve, maybe because it's not American. But they seem to have an issue with everything American. But they're the ones who are the most mentally ill. Well, the initial start of it was them. They are the ones who have the most depression. They are the ones who were basically the most disgruntled with America. We funded them. We aided them. We gave them the medical help that they needed. When they couldn't, when they fell on hard times, we took care of them. We didn't give anybody a test and say, what's your loyalty to America before we start helping you out? Because if you don't want to be here, we can send you to a nation where you should be, where you think you'll be best, and you can go and figure this shit out over there with your depressed ass. But we didn't do that. So I'm curious to know, now we have a whole generation, or two, or maybe three, because you can start with maybe four if you want to start with the boomers. You have a few generations of people who just utterly despise America. They just hate this place. They don't want to leave. Heaven forbid that they go and take their asses to Ghana and go live, right? Or you go and live in the Ukraine where they seem to be claiming it's so great. Well, take your asses over there. Zelensky would love to have you, and the oligarchs would love to have you as well. But so I'm curious to know, do you all think that maybe that is the problem? Is that we've been taking care of too many bad Americans. And so now when we can't take care of our good ones, we can't take care of our loyal patriots, our veterans, that would be the top one. But then we can't even see the problem because we're too busy still taking care of bad Americans who are pretty much ruining our nation.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, some of that it comes back to the thing that I always say about like made up problems though, right? Because, okay, so these crappy people got some assistance, right? And maybe they did have some actual hard times and maybe actually, I'm not even going to say it made sense to give them money because I don't know that I can totally agree with that. But anyway, maybe they did actually, need some help. But now it's like, okay, well, those people, if they got some government assistance and got some help, they're just going to keep voting for the same people just to give them more help. They're not going to vote for the people who are going to actually make them go get a job or something like that. And so now it's like you gave them that assistance, you gave them that money, you funded whatever problems they had going on to try to help them with their problems, except for now they just found more problems because you made life a little bit too cushy for them, and now they have time to make up more problems because they don't have to go to work because they're just getting a check from the government so that they can just sit at home.
And let's be clear on this too, for those who may be watching and they may be thinking that you're talking about blacks. We are in rural Wisconsin where that is very prominent, that the whites are sucking all the money away.
I'm talking about all the bad ones. All the bad ones.
It's tons of bad whites sucking money. So I know that people hear that and they instantly go to black people. Mm-hmm. But we are in rural Wisconsin.
True. Upper class white women saying things sometimes.
Yes. So I just want to make sure we preface that. Nah, these is whites.
Yeah, I'm not a bruncher. I'm not one of those upper class white women that just go sit at brunch and talk about made up problems.
Thank you. We're going to say something, Adrian?
Charity starts at home. You have to live your values and be a source of strength for the people around you, and you will fix your community by doing that. We have a problem with so many people withdrawing into their own homes. I can go to Kohl's and sit outside in the parking lot and order a pair of pants. And I don't have to interact with anyone to pick up that pair of pants. I can order it from the app, 15 minutes, it's in a bin. I walk in, I've already paid for it. I don't have to say hi to anyone. we have to get back to being close to people, to going out and talking to people, talking to our neighbors, interacting with people, trying to fix the problems in our community according to our values, and being a source of strength. One of the greatest moments of my life was I took a homeless man up on his "Will Work for Food" sign. I brought him back to my house. I paid him more money for his labor than I got paid in a day. I had a day off. And I weeded my garden next to him for 4 hours, 6 hours. It was a big garden at the time. And he told me that was the greatest experience that he had had since he became homeless. And even prior, he was waiting for a bus to take him to Colorado so that he could get a job. Why did he have to go to Colorado to get a job where there are not jobs in Green Bay? That's one of the things that kind of got the motors running about maybe I should take office and start to try to fix some things. But he told me he was glad he missed his bus that morning because he got to spend his day with me. I made a positive impact in that man's life.
It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
I want you to think about COVID. We'll go to COVID for a second, all right? Back in 2020. Remember all of us sitting in our house and just trying to find something to do to keep ourselves busy, and we're getting antsy, or we're pacing around, walking.
No, I had tons of things to do. I loved COVID. Thank you. Bring it back.
Good. Well, just give a little time.
as long as we
The
have
new
our
word's
guns.
coming. Well, my point is, we've all been there where we feel anxious just sitting there, and I believe that, God created us to have a purpose, like you said about your book. I believe in that. I believe that you're fulfilled when you might not even be doing your specific purpose, but just starting somewhere by doing something like weeding a garden is a purpose. And you probably felt great doing that, and not knowing that there's still a wonderful person that still lives in society. 2, I still have worth. And 3, I can do this on my own. I don't need someone. I can figure this out. Someone found me good enough to do this. And I really believe that if we get back to just working with our hands a little more, I think people will stop being so anxious and antsy all the time and jumpy. I think we need to get back to taking care of our society. People will be less anxious, less antsy. And guess what? They'll be working. They'll bring more money in. And then, you know what? Now the society is going good. The economy is great. I'm giving the very high overview right now. But
you're doing massive exceptions here.
thank you. And But
These
I
are
get
massive
there's a lot more.
exceptions.
But we got to start taking care of ourselves, putting our masks on first before we start helping others.
Well,
Only with a flight though, not with a
well, isn't your
Amen.
example an example of the exception? Because the majority of people today, man, they can't even handle the name Trump. They flip that way off the hand.
Orange man,
my
bad.
God, I can't believe you mentioned his name. You must have voted for him. I don't want to talk to you no more. Oh my God, don't speak to me. So how? I'm gonna ask you, how do you even have an interaction with most people today? Most people today are so caught up in their own, as I said earlier, their own personal hubris. It's hell to talk to you, especially if you mention that the forbidden name. Don't you do it. Don't you do it on the show. They might start talking to you right after the show.
Orange man.
So how do you do that? How do you? I know what you said about that man, but in your everyday life, you already know the rejection and the disrespect that's gonna come for you even being benevolent. People are gonna challenge you. They're gonna even say, "What the fuck are you being so nice for?"
I haven't found that.
Okay.
I've talked to hundreds of people, and I'm sure you have too, Vanya, in the past couple of months. I go out to people's doors, I knock, I ask what their concerns are for their community, their neighborhood, our city, and I don't ask if they're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't ask if they're what they're in favor of. I don't ask what they are in favor of politically. I ask what their comments and concerns are, and then I listen to them.
Right. Well, I guess that's a different variable though, because you're canvassing.
Yeah.
Right.
But if somebody shows up on your door and says, "Hey, what's your comments and concerns for your city?"
The conversation goes a different way.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
mentioning Trump. I'm
Right,
not
right,
checking
right.
to see if there's a "We support law enforcement" sticker in their window or a
Right.
Trump flag or a pride flag. You just go out and you meet people and you interact with people as you find them. And I think the person who is crazy and all wrapped up in themselves, maybe I'm just myopic. Maybe I'm focusing only on the small portion of Green Bay I've interacted with.
Probably.
But it's within the realm of possibility, as I like to say. But the people that I have found are not like that. And the people I have interacted with, I've been in a customer service or serving others related profession for the last 20 years. Sometimes multiple jobs. I've worked in retail and also very customer service driven IT. And I have to handle people all day long. That's part of my job. That's what I get paid to do, is interact with the general population. The ones that are crazy, either I haven't found them or they haven't found me. I'm sure they're out there, but I think they make up the minority. I really do. I think the crazy people in society make up the minority, and we can probably find more to get along together about than we can find to disagree about.
If you actually take the time.
If you actually take the
That's
time.
true.
Talk to
If
them
you-
and take
I
enough
agree with
time.
that. That is true.
If
Yeah.
you don't order your pants on an app at Kohl's, go in and ignore everybody, you'll find that the cashier's a really nice person. You'll
Yeah.
probably find that the person you bump into in the aisle is a really nice person. You'll probably find the assistant that you asked, where to get pants is a really nice person. And they're not going to tear your head off. And you know what? Don't mention Trump when you talk to them. If you're mentioning Trump just to interject his name into a conversation to
Right.
see if somebody flies off the handle, well, that sounds like a you problem.
Right, that's true.
I agree with that.
That's true.
I really wanted to ask you both a question, and this is because you both are in politics, and we appreciate that. But I want you guys to, this is a little bit of a opening for you guys. It's better for America to put themselves first before helping others. We all agree on that statement. How would you do that in regards to what you have control over in your communities? And Vanya, I'll let you go first if I may, or if you may.
Yeah, for me, it starts with the basics, like safety. Our police and first responders. 2 years ago, my opponent, who was an incumbent in Hobart for 16 years, she said that Hobart Lawrence Police Department does not need to exist for political reasons. And I said no to that. And I ended up winning and beating a 16-year incumbent by almost 300 votes. And so for me, it has been with supporting the Hobart Lawrence Police Department. Hobart Lawrence patrols nearly 53 square miles with our 16 officers with a very lean budget. And we are the 9th safest community in the state. It's working. We just built a brand new fire station because the other one was 60 years old on South Pine Tree Road for just under $5 million without raising taxes, because we have been responsible stewards of our residents' dollars. And the third one's, it's creating an atmosphere where business entrepreneurs and families can succeed. If you have the jobs, if you have the support and the resources that the government can provide through like a tax incentive, then those businesses do come. And so Hobart has the third lowest tax rate in Brown County, while the second highest net new construction rate. That's higher than Green Bay. That's higher than the Schwabenon. So we have the right formula when we do those things. So it's safety, it's the police, it's the first responders, it's making sure we have the safe communities and the business environment for everybody to succeed in.
Before Adrian speaks, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I like that you said steward, because that tells me like it's kind of a signal that you understand that we're only here for a short time, and then it's the next generation. So going back to what you said, that made me think of that, because a lot of people are thinking inwardly, like, this is it. This is the peak of society, right? It's about me and controlling everything. But no, you're being a steward, and that tells me that you're on the right track, in my opinion, because you realize that this is a baton that eventually you have to hand off to the next person. And I appreciate that. So that's awesome.
How can I put America first? To be perfectly honest, there's nothing that I can do personally that's going to affect the national conversation on a greater scale. I'm just one guy. I'm one ant in the anthill. But I can continue to go out and live my values and talk to the people of District 7 about what their concerns are. I can be a good steward of their money as a city councilman, talk to them about what they want in terms of police response, fire response. We have to make District 7, which is one of the lowest income districts in Green Bay, a better place to live and a better place to do business. Summer of 2020, there were 3 bullet holes in my front lawn. Last year, out running, I think I saw, just in the span of a summer, 5 people passed out on the side of Velp. Walked up to new restaurant, 1001 Club, with my wife. It was like their opening night. My wife and I are walking up there. I see somebody on a loading dock putting a syringe in their wrist. We have to make District 7 a good place to do business and a good place to live. And making it a good place to do business will raise people's incomes, will bring more people to that district. Did you know that Green Bay is slated to lose something like 7,000 or 8,000 people over the next 10 years?
I don't blame them. I mean,
That-
honestly, that does not
They're,
shock me.
they're
unfortunately.
fleeing to communities like yours, and that's going to leave a very interesting vacuum of services and community in especially my district, which is one of the lower income districts. I think I have a duty to help people, to try and live my values, to try and do charity. Personally, I don't want to spend your money. I don't want to spend your money. I don't want to spend anybody else's money to do charity for other people, but I want to foster an environment where people can be more successful. And when people are more successful, they have hope. And they're not committing suicide at massive rates. They're not using drugs at a massive rate. Create hope, create a hopeful community, and you're not going to have those problems.
You know, I remember a couple of years ago, actually, well, 4 years ago now, my wife and I were looking for houses, and we were down on Velp, and I saw this really beautiful, I might murder the description here, like a Victorian house, 2 or 3 stories, had you get a walkway on the both levels, you can come out, you know, it was beautiful, it was very spacious, but the area was so bad, and it might even be knocked down by now, I don't even know. I mean,
Oh,
it could
that
be
house
there.
is still there. That's
Yeah.
like on the list of historic places in Green Bay.
It was half the price of my just normal house we live in now, and that should give you a little bit of a symbolism, like of what's happening in Green Bay and everywhere else. It's bad. So I love the fact that you're trying to boost up your community. Because I went past the house, I'm like, what a beautiful home. If that was in like Abrams or something, you know, and you got 5-6 acres, oh my gosh, it's that price goes way up. But because Green Bay is just rotting from the inside out, because we're taking care of everybody else but ourselves, guess what? You know, beautiful things like that just don't mean nothing to anybody anymore. Thank you. That's good. Dan, anybody? What do you got?
Talking America first still?
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, I just like bring that back to we all just need to like, okay, right. So it's not a secret on this show, but I watch a lot of Andy Frisella, and his tagline that I've told people about a number of times is that personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. And so we all just need to become the definition and raise our standards of what we think a high value American is. And we need to do that and model that and live that in our lives for everyone else to see, because when everyone else to see it, everyone tends to come along for the ride. You like the highly disciplined people. Yeah, go ahead.
I was hiking with a friend some time ago and lamenting the fact that society lacks heroes.
Yeah.
And he listens to me complain about the fact that our heroes are sports stars and actors, people who play pretend or people who
Yeah.
throw a ball around, which, you know, that can be fun to watch.
Exactly.
But they shouldn't be our heroes, our role models, unless they're being quality people. So he listens to me complain about this for a little bit, and then he says, well, go be one of those heroes yourself. I'm like, wow, that was a hammer upside the head.
Exactly. Yeah, we all need to become the high value Americans, and it ripples through society when you start doing that. When you start working out, the people around you start working out. When you start eating right, the people around you start, and it goes the other way too, but we don't want it to go the other way any more than it already has. We all need to become those high value Americans. That's how you put America first. It does just start with you and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, no matter how small you are.
I agree.
Who is taking care of Green Bay? Or who is Green Bay taking care of? Who is the city of Green Bay taking care of? Because you said, he talked about community. You talked about how Green Bay is becoming shit because we're taking care of outside people. Who you taking care of?
Rhetorical, or are you asking?
I'm asking, who are you all taking care of? Who are you all taking care of outside of Green Bay?
I'm not talking about taking care of anyone outside of Green Bay in particular.
You were talking about community. You said we need to take care of our.
I said we need to take care of our community, and
Gotcha.
we need to spend our money on the city council
Gotcha.
so that we can more adequately do that.
I got you. Who's Green Bay taking care of then, outside
I know-
of Green Bay?
I know who has the most authority, and,
Who-
that's the sheriff.
The sheriff in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So who's he taking care of outside of Green Bay?
Probably nobody.
Okay, so then the problem is taking care of the bad people in Green Bay, the community that you keep talking about. You keep wanting to take care of those bad people, and what the statement is about, taking care of America first, is what we should do, or something. That's a synonymous way of putting the statement. But like I said, if you're taking care of bad people in America, you're just ruining America more. So I get you. I agree with you 100% that we got to take care of community first. But it's the people who want to be a part of your community. Because there are people in your community who don't want to be a part of your community. Same thing with you. There's people in Green Bay who don't want to be a part of your community. That's why they're ruining your community. Because they don't care about this shit. So we should not be taking care of all these bad Americans. Maybe we should focus on the good ones. And I understand that you've been canvassing, right? I've canvassed myself many times for many politicians in Chicago as well as for my own campaign. You do not get a real honest assessment of what is going on in your neighborhood based on canvassing. You get a real honest of your assessment of what's going on when you go and hang out at the various locations and people are being themselves. Because when they're talking to you, they're talking to the candidate. So they want to tell you stuff that's wrong in hopes that you'll fix it. They're not telling you what they're going to tell you if they just saw you at the store and you all were looking at time together in the same aisle and they said, you know, that fucking time comes from goddamn Israel, or that fucking time comes from them goddamn Africans, or whatever the case may be. You're not going to get that. And that conversation is not going to come up. The same way how I agree with you. If somebody is going around and they're just saying Trump's name to see what's happening, saying Biden's name to see how you could trigger people, I feel you. But there are a lot of people, more people than not, who are just triggered by even mentioning that person's name. You could be talking about politics. You could be saying, man, Trump's policy on this, it kind of sucked. Oh, that Trump, he's a terrible man. Same thing with Biden. So if you have these people who you can't even have this kind of a conversation with without them flipping out or going off the handle, and I get, you're a guy who sees things glass half full, and you would like for everybody to be glass half full, and you would like for everybody to come and drink from the glass half full cup so that they all could be glass half full thinkers, and I commend you for that. But the reality is, the majority of the people don't want to be in Green Bay. The majority of the people who are ruining America don't want to be in your community. They don't want to be in Green Bay. They don't care what happens to Green Bay. Green Bay can fail tomorrow. They'll just move to Wausau. They'll just move to Waupaca and ruin that community. I don't care. It's the same thing that happens with people who leave California and go to Texas. They left California. It was shit. But they ruined it and then went to Texas, to San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, all these thriving Texas areas. Now they're shit. Now what are they saying? It's shit down here. I think I'm going to go to Idaho. Oh, so you go and ruin that state next. Because those people don't care. And we keep taking care of those people, trying to bring them into our community. The community that you want to be. I wouldn't mind being a part of your community. But there's a bunch of people out there who would see us in that community and be like, fuck those two. I'm going to ruin their shit. There's nothing you can do about them because it's a lot of them.
There are bad dudes in this world, that is
Yeah.
correct. But you can't let those people dictate how you live your life and how you treat your community.
Right.
I'm not talking about it. You said I wanted to take care of the bad guys or something. I want to raise the standard of living in my district, not just for people who are hopeless, but for the FedEx driver I met just before Christmas who was bringing in packages from UPS on his porch. I want to raise the standard of living for them, and I think, I have to hope that as people get happier, people have more hope in their life, as people get stronger, as people get healthier, that the people who don't want to be a part of those communities are going to look at models of strength and happiness and see, hey, that's something to emulate. There will always be bad people in this world. There will always be people who look at a beautiful city and say, man, that looks like a great place to go and plunder, but they have to be the minority. I have to believe that. And if they're not the minority, well, that's why I'm going to go knock on the community police station door tomorrow and talk to the police inside.
Outstanding. Got anything over there?
Yeah, I think for me, it just comes down to what we kind of been talking about throughout this evening. It's about what is your source of truth. People have to pause, reflect, and identify their source of truth, whether it's having higher values, whether it's being more community focused. But once you know your source of truth, that will fuel your motives, right? If our source of truth is me and my selfishness, my motives will be just that. So our job is to create an environment, a thriving environment for that, because obviously, that's important, the nature nurture piece of it. We want to create the environment for that. But then beyond that, government can't go into people's hearts. People need to do that for themselves. They got to pause, evaluate what is my source of truth, and how is that source of truth fueling my motives. For me, I could sit in the sideline and say, man, things are really rough, and I'm from Russia, and Russia was tough, and I was homeschooled, and I'm introverted, and whatever. Or I can say, hey, here's my source of truth. I've been given a great opportunity, a huge break. There were 200 kids in that orphanage. I was the one that got adopted. Adoptions from Russia were cut off eight years later after that, so close window there. And so because I know my source of truth, and for me it is my faith, out of that, my motives are to help and bless others as my parents did for me 21 years ago.
This is a wonderful segue. That was good. Thank you. We're now into the closing or the final thoughts of the show, and you kind of, I think I just spoiled that for you. I'm sorry, but you know what? I would like you to, and then we'll do our final thoughts as we always do. Unless there's anything else you two want to add into this topic before I go into final thoughts, or are you gonna? Okay.
I just have final thoughts.
Perfect. So I would like you to flex a little bit here and talk as if you got people listening. I don't care if it's the Green Bay Llamas, if it's the Hobarts, if it's the District 7. I don't care who's listening. I would love you guys to just share your final thoughts on these two things we talked about today. And you can plug anything you want. Doc believes in capitalism. Promote yourself, and we want to hear what you have to say in your final thoughts. Adrian, you may go first.
You want me to plug myself?
Yes, 100%.
So when I started running, I made 3 promises, and one of those videos is still sitting on my phone. And I'm going to post it eventually, but I wanted to air it here in case that video gets deleted and I have to remake it for some reason. Phones crash. Had it happen recently. So my first promise is, as a city councilman, I'm going to continue running and asking for people's vote. I run past people's houses all spring, summer, and fall long. You know how much I like to run, Travis.
Terribly too much. Yes.
Yes, terribly too much. And more people know me as the guy that runs past their house than know who says he represents them on the city council. I've asked people, do you know who represents you? They have no idea. They have no idea who's running against me. But they know me. Hey, you're the guy that runs past my house in the summer. I can't tell you the number of times that I've heard that. So I'm going to continue running, not just past people's houses, but continue running for office and asking people their comments and concerns, and then staying accountable. I've got a list of complaints that I want to bring to various departments, offices, whatever, and then bring back to people and say, hey, this is how these problems get resolved. Second promise, I'm running as the only nonpartisan candidate in this race, and I am donating all of the offers that I have received for monetary support to the NEW Community Shelter, Jackie Nitschke Foundation. I've been offered a lot of money so far. Based on the people that were offering it, probably a lot of money. And I graciously thanked them and said, there are people in this community that need your help more than I do. And I've heard back from some people who have said, yes, I went and I made a donation, and they, at the community shelter, told me, hey, you're not the first person to say, Adrian sent you here, which is, I'm proud of doing that. Pride is not a good thing to have, but I'm proud that I have contributed, even if I haven't won the office. Final promise is I'm not going to take a salary as a member of the Green Bay City Council. Within 2 weeks of taking office, I will record myself handing a stack of cash equal to 1/2 of my salary over to NEW Community Shelter. A year later, I'm going to record myself taking another stack of cash over to another deserving charity in my district. This is what I feel I have a duty to do for my community, and I want to make my community a better place.
Outstanding. And I might ask this question, you might have already answered it, but what makes you better than the current situation that's already in office that you're going for?
I'm listening to people. I'm getting out and talking to people. When I go up to someone's door and say, hey, do you know who your alderman is? And they don't know who that is. And then they say, but hey, you're the guy that runs past my house in the summer, like several times a week during the summer because you're out, training for a 10K. They're not connected to their city government. They're not connected to the people who represent them. They're not connected to the people who spend their money. And if you're not connected to the people who spend your money in the city, you really don't have any influence. You don't have any control. You're disconnected. And there's a good chance they're not making that district, they're not making your neighborhood a good place to live and a good place to do business. And if you're making it a good place to live and a good place to do business, standard of living is going to go up, people are going to be happier, people are going to have more hope, and more people can begin projecting that out to the people around them.
Thank you. And anybody watching, I just want you to know I've known Adrian for a decent amount of time now, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a more grounded, humble, motivated person to do what's right for this country, and more importantly for his own community. And I appreciate you doing that. That is why you and I hike as much as we used to. We'll get back to that. That is why we connect so well, because you want grounded people who have wisdom and discernment and the courage to actually do it. Thank you for not being the silent majority, because that's what's killing us right now. Vanya, I know you just did give us a beautiful little thought there, but how could you wrap that up in telling us why you believe keeping you on in the position that you're in Hobart, why is that valuable? What would that do for your community?
Yeah, for sure.
And then a final thought after, too, if you want.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I know my source of truth. I know who I am. I know my convictions, and I've done my best to live up to them. I'm a listener who's held 23 listening sessions over the last 2 years in my district and in all of Hobart. And I don't pretend to be the smartest person in the room. I look for the innovators, the collaborators who have the experience and the knowledge to get things done. So number one, that's the reason I am unopposed in the village of Hobart, and I appreciate the support there. So I'll cruise to a second term, which I appreciate. But I'm also running for county board, and it's an open seat for an individual in District 24. It's the north end of Hobart and the south end of Howard. So District 24 of the 26 county board seats is open right now because the incumbent of 40 years is retiring, and I thank him for his service. And it's myself and a gentleman from Howard who are running. I think he's a fine man as well. I think he's a man of his word as well, and he's campaigning with respect, which I appreciate. But for me, the reason I think I'll be a better pick is because of my record in Hobart, because of my personal record and things I do in our community. And 2 websites to get to know me on are voteforvanya.com and youarehereforapurpose.com. I've sent over 500 free books to people because it's not a money-making scheme for me as well. So if somebody cannot afford a book, I will mail them one. There's paperback and hardback or a Kindle version. But it tells you my story of growing up in a Russian orphanage. So voteforvanya.com and youarehereforapurpose.com.
Thank you for the plug. I appreciate that. And honestly, before we have these 2 amazing people give your final thoughts, thank you guys for being here. We need more people like you trying to get plugged into office for the right reasons. We don't have that right now, or at least the fruit of it is showing that we don't have it right now. And I'm comfortable saying that. So I would like this handsome guy to my left to do his final thought now. Go for it, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Make sure you guys go check out Random Things You Need to Know. There are some random things on there that you probably need to know. And it's at, I almost forgot where it's at. YouTube. And
BitChute,
yeah, thank you.
Rumble,
Yes, those all sound like places I've seen it before.
YouTube.
Yeah,
now.
I think it was there. Yeah, for now until they take me off. And so make sure you guys go and check that out. Follow Random Radio at Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and
Instagram.
Yeah, Insta
Maybe.
thing, and then go and check it out and check out the newest episodes. And there'll be an episode up, I think at midnight. Yeah. So we're keep doing that. And make sure when is the election?
April 2nd.
April
The
2nd.
day after April Fool's Day.
Okay.
I think that's an omen.
Yeah, polls
Okay.
are open 7 a.m. to 8
But
p.m.
Democrats usually vote on Wednesdays, though, right? Just throwing it out there.
There you go.
Well, they vote early and often in Illinois.
Third.
Even the dead
Be
ones.
alive.
Even the dead ones.
Even the dead ones vote in Illinois. So
The dead
you
shall
know.
rise on election day.
So yeah, man. Best of luck to the both of you. I think. Well, you say you're running unopposed.
One's unopposed, the other one is contested.
Okay. So
Colin.
both elections are on the same day though.
Yep, April
Oh, okay.
2nd.
Okay. Well, good luck
The
to
ballot
you.
twice.
Oh, there you go. And good luck to you, brother. I
Thank
hope
you.
that all works out. And man, it's been a while since I've talked to people this close to politics who are actually in it, who don't just say, I understand politics because I watch CNN. It's like, oh, Communist News Network, you do understand politics. so it's good that you guys are running. Even if it doesn't work out, I'm sure you already know this. This is your first time running? Even if it doesn't work out, run again. Keep running.
It's
Yes.
been one of the greatest experiences of my life, getting out and getting to know people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give him a plug too. So on this podcast, you only get a sliver of his wisdom.
Right.
He's got some funny stuff he does, but you go to his Random Radio, go on and look at it. He's got a lot of deep things. He goes down a rabbit hole, and it's deep and it's detailed, and he doesn't just give you opinions all the time. He's got his stuff together. So check it out. These are the people you want to hear from because he's going to do his research. So please check it out if you haven't. Talking to you, audience, check out Random Radio on the Rumble, the BitChute, the Facebook, whatever you said.
Yeah,
So,
all of
but
those
just do it. Just check it out and go through 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And you know what? Prove me wrong. Dana.
Double D.
First of all, because
Double
I never ever plug it at the end because I always forget. But make sure you're following Dana Disagrees on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Be looking for my manuals on what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine, coming out as soon as I can whip some people into shape for getting it all prettified and everything for me. But anyway, there were a couple things that I didn't say tonight that I wrote down that I guess I'll probably just say now. I appreciate what you said before about like definitions and what words mean and changing definitions and all those things. 'Cause I actually, with a friend of mine who's another practitioner, and then also just in practice, we talk a lot about like everything's a vocabulary lesson. Like what are people actually talking about and what words are they using and what do those words actually mean, right? Okay, so come back to you. Yeah, exactly. Drugs work, right? We started the show with that
Right,
one,
drugs-
right?
drugs work.
Okay. So you say that you agree. You say you agree with that, and I say I disagree with that. But then it comes down to, well, what does work mean?
Yeah, what does work mean?
What does work mean?
Because weed gets you high, man.
Because I can agree with that.
Cocaine gets you high, man.
Exactly. But what are you talking about? What am I talking about? Because I can say drugs work, and I can, first of all, I'm talking about pharma, and I can say that drugs work
Oh,
because
those
they
drugs
do.
don't. Those
Because
drugs
they do.
don't
They work to manipulate your body.
Yeah.
They work for their intended purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
But then I also know in my head, I'm like, but that's not really what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about, do they actually fix your body? So like even a simple word like that and a 2-word phrase like that, what are you actually talking about? And so everybody just needs a vocabulary lesson about what everybody's talking about. Because once you can hash that out, then we can see what we're talking about. Because I wasn't thinking about cocaine.
What? It's a hell of a
No.
drug.
Well, I'm glad that it is. That's not what I was thinking
Cocaine's
about.
a hell of a drug.
I'm thinking about it from a totally other perspective. But once we can define that, now that we did, now we know what the other person's talking about. And we just need to do that more in our conversations and in culture. And I like what you brought up with the colds and the app and not having to talk to somebody, because that while all that stuff is really convenient, and yes, you're going to have to take advantage of that, at some point, It's a skill. I want people, like, it's a skill to be able to talk to people, to be able to talk to the cashier when you check out and things like that. And that's, over the last couple of days, that's really, really been at the forefront of my brain, because my dad actually just recently died, and that was him. He could talk to anyone. He had that skill. All the cashiers at Walmart knew who he was because he talked to all of them. Or he'd be sitting in conversation, he'd be able to find something that he had in common with somebody about where they lived or something that they liked, or, you know, he could do those kinds of things. And my mom actually was just kind of like a little bit sad about that, because she's like, he always did that, so then I didn't have to. So she now has to work at refining that skill. But talking to people is a skill. And so I commend you guys for going, you know, door to door and talking to people that you don't even know, because that is actually terrifying to a lot of people. And that's a very, very difficult thing to do. But if we would do more of it, and we would look up from our phones, and we would not just use the Kohl's app to pick up our stuff, we could, again, have more conversations and understand the vocabulary that everybody's using.
Well, realistically, Dana, your podcast, your show is intimidating the people. So, you know, it's you know, we can't control that.
Well, she's jacked, so can you blame them? They're probably scared.
We can't control that, you know.
Well, you know, confidence is one of my superpowers. So.
Yeah. See, your confidence, and your confidence makes other people feel less confident because they don't have your level of confidence. So they're mad at you, and they probably call you an arrogant bitch.
They probably do, but then they should come hang out with me, and they should come see how cool I actually am. And
then,
you know, you are like the people you surround yourself with, so you come hang out with me. I bet you get more confidence.
Outstanding.
Oh, is that a BSBC tip?
It probably is.
Is that a bitch stop being crazy tip?
Being crazy.
Outstanding.
Quit judging me just by what you're seeing on the camera. Come and talk to me.
Yeah. We're doing BSBC tips
We're gonna
every
do
episode. Every episode.
I was thinking about it earlier. I mean, I don't know what these topics, what I would possibly say, but you know what? Brought it back around.
There you go.
Here we go.
This is all good stuff. I loved all your final thoughts. My final thought is strictly going to be this. Excuse me. I believe that hope, you know, it's something in my faith in Christ that I believe in. That hope, that is my middle, right? And we've lost that in society, and we've replaced it with fear. We did that, and people complied, and you found out people's true colors. You know, you saw the people, you know, the churches closing, everyone closing, other schools, all these things. And now we replaced it with a lot of false hope. And I'll tell you right now, I think false hope is worse than fear, because you don't know which is real and which is not when it comes to false hope. You just think it's hope until you're disappointed and it's too late. And the media does a wonderful job of doing that, and it's really causing separation. False hope is false information, kind of along the same lines. We're losing what truth really is. And when you lose that, you don't know which way to turn. And I think when that happens, when fear is put back into the picture, people will look for the first rope to grab onto so they don't fall. And sometimes that rope is going to lead you down an even worse path than the one that you're currently going through. So in society, we need to get back to the basics. We've heard it here a million times. If you guys, we need God, right? We need Him in some way, shape, or form in society. And we can discuss that maybe a different time. But we've lost that, and we should not be surprised that we're here. So all that to be said, make sure if you're in these areas over here, you guys are voting for them or calling them, to make sure you have all the information you need to make that vote. Don't just take their word for it. Challenge them. Okay? They're very smart individuals, and they're not going to, butter you up. They're going to tell you the truth. I know Vanya pretty decent, but I know Adrian very well, and I know them, and they're going to give you very good information and answers. And if they don't have the answer, I know they're going to find it. So keep that in the back of your head, but do it before April. But I want to thank you guys all for being here. This has been an excellent show. I want to thank Doc. He's been busy, and that's all good. That's why we're all here. This show was meant to have many people come on, but this is his show. But thank you for giving us a platform, Doc, to do this, to have politicians come on here, to spend time with my friends here. But thank you for that. All that to be said, reminder, if you want to hear a specific statement be talked about, email us at idp@thewellnessway.com. And if you want to be on the show, we want that too. We had a few people from the Green Bay Llamas. That was outstanding. We loved it. They were great. They will probably tell you that we were very pleasant. And even though we didn't always agree, it was it was a good handshake at the end. That's all we have to. That's all I care about, right? So keep that in mind. We want to hear from you. We don't just want politicians or just the same people to agree. We want all circles of life. We want everybody. We want all of you to come on here and disagree. It's okay. It's all good to disagree. Hence the word I Disagree podcast. Thank you everyone for being here. I hope you all have a great Tuesday, and we will see you next week.